Hello, everyone. This is my speech on why strict parenting isn't the best way to raise kids. First, we've all met at least one kid whose parents are super strict, like they can't go anywhere, can't talk to anyone, can't breathe wrong without getting in trouble, and a lot of adults think that being strict automatically makes kids better. But the truth is, strict parenting often does the opposite. Instead of helping kids grow and to learn responsibility, it usually just stresses them out, shuts them down, and makes them scared to be honest. Today, I'm going to explain why parents should not be overly strict and why a little more balanced. Understanding parenting style works way better for kids emotional health, their behavior, and their future relationships. My first point to y'all about strict parenting damages emotional health. Emotional health. Strict parents usually believe they're toughening their kids up, but research says something totally different. According to 2019 study for the American Association, and this is how I would say it verbally, the researchers basically found that kids who grew up with really controlling parents show higher levels of stress, anxiety, and even depression. Think about it. If a kid is constantly scared of disappointing their parents, they're not going to grow confidence. They're going to grow fear. They learn to hide things, stay quiet, and pretend everything is okay when it's really not. And it's just to avoid getting in trouble. So instead of raising strong, independent kids, strict parenting often creates anxious teens who feel like nothing they do is ever good enough. Now, I will add on that I do have strict parents of myself, and I will say sometimes strict parents can create a sneaky child. Strict parents also can create a child that is more independent in himself because it's not always they don't feel like they're able to always reach out. And that is one problem with having a, what do you say it, a strict parent, let's just say that. My point two would be supportive parenting builds better communication and trust. Now, on the flip side, when parents aren't strict but instead supportive and open, kids actually talk to them more, which is very, very true. A 2021 study from the Journal of Child and Family Studies said that warm, respectful communication between parents and kids creates long-term trust. The lead author explained that kids raised with emotional and honestly that sorry. Where am I at? Um apologies. Apologies. The kids raised with emotional support end up having better relationship with their parents even when they're adults. And honestly, that makes total sense. When parents listen instead of controlling everything, kids feel comfortable telling them the truth. They're not scared to admit they made a mistake. They learn how to make good choices because they talk through things, not because they're scared of punishment. Trust doesn't come from rules. It comes from connection. And I'll say that again. Trust doesn't come from rules. Trust comes from connection. Now, I do have counterclaims to these situations because you can't just take the good and not compare it to the cons. So strict parenting teaches discipline. A lot of people argue that being strict teaches kids discipline. And yes, structure is important. A 2020 University of Michigan study found that kids, I will read this to you, kids with routines do better in school and have better study habits, but this is important. The same study that said, the same study said that structure works best when it's mixed with support, not harsh punishment. So kids need routines, not strictness. You can have rules without being controlling. Discipline comes from guidance, not fear. Once again, discipline comes from guidance, not fear. My second counterclaim would be strict rules keep kids out of trouble. Another argument is that strict parents keep their kids out of trouble. And at first, it is kind of true, and it kind of looks true. A 2018 article in Child Development explained that strict parents' kids tend to follow rules when they're younger. But the study also found that those same kids are more likely to rebel later. Why? Because when kids never get a chance to make decisions for themselves, they eventually want freedom so badly that they push back harder. So strict parenting may work in the short term, but it backfires in the long run. My point 3, balanced parenting helps kids become independent adults. Kids eventually grow up, get jobs, go to college, start relationships, and they need actual decision-making skills for that. Super strict parents don't give kids the chance to learn independence. The kids grow up knowing how, let me go back. The kids grow up knowing how to follow rules, but not knowing how to think for themselves. Balancing parenting teaches kids responsibility. They learn how to choose, how to fail, how to make mistakes, how to fix mistakes, and how to grow. That's what prepares them for the real life and the real world. So, my conclusion for you today is overall, strict parenting sounds good on the surface, but research and real life experience show that it mostly harms kids more than it helps them. It raises stress, damages communication, and leads to rebellion later. What kids actually need is support, guidance, and parents who listen instead of just controlling everything. If we want kids to grow into confident, responsible adults, parents shouldn't be strict. They should be understanding. They should be fair. And they should be willing to build real trust with their children. And that is all. Thank you.